What happens when the toughest prisoner in a Texas jail dares to rip a female officer's uniform, only to uncover something that leaves every single inmate in shock? Stay with me, because this isn't the story you think it is. It's one about trust, betrayal, redemption, and a secret that changed an entire jail forever. If you believe in second chances and the power of truth, then make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because stories like this will shake you to your core. The air inside Travis County Jail always carried a heavy mix of sweat, bleach, and resentment. Steel doors clanged, voices echoed, and the watchful eyes of guards scanned every shadow. Among those guards was Officer Emily Carter, 29 years old, sharp-jawed, and known for her composure. She wasn't the tallest or strongest, but she had a way of holding herself that made inmates think twice before trying her. Still, there was one man who didn't think twice about anyone. Darius Cole, 6'3", tattooed arms, a scar running from his temple to his cheek. He wasn't just another prisoner. He was the kind of inmate who made others step aside in the yard. Convicted of armed robbery, rumored to have ties with gangs, Darius was trouble. And Emily, she had been assigned to his block. From day one, tension sparked between them. He'd smirk when she walked past, make sly comments, sometimes test her patience with small acts of defiance, walking too slow in the line, refusing to answer during roll call. Emily never let it show, but behind her calm stare, she was always ready for something worse. That something worse came one humid Wednesday afternoon. The inmates were returning from the yard, restless from the heat. Emily was at her usual post, clipboard in hand, counting them in. Darius shuffled the back of the line, dragging his feet. She called out, "Cole, move it along." But instead of obeying, he stopped right in front of her. His dark eyes locked on hers with an intensity that made the guard next to her stiffen. Then, in one swift motion, Darius lunged forward, grabbing at her shirt. Gasps echoed through the block. Guards reached for batons. Emily froze. Inmates shouted, "Yo, he's crazy." What the hell is he doing? Darius's rough hands ripped open the front of her uniform shirt, buttons scattering to the ground. But the moment the fabric tore away, the entire block fell silent. Not because of violence, not because of some act of humiliation, but because of what they saw taped against her chest. A microphone. The room went still. Even the guards hesitated. Emily's face drained of color as she instinctively covered herself, not out of modesty, but fear. Darius snarled, his voice carrying through the block. "You're wired. You're recording us." The inmates erupted. Shouts, curses, metal clanging against bars. Everyone realized what it meant. Their conversations, their alliances, their whispered deals. Some had been feeding it all to the administration. Emily's cover was blown. But what froze the entire jail wasn't just that revelation. It was a look in her eyes, wide, desperate, as if she knew her life might not last the next 10 minutes. The guards rushed in, trying to drag Darius back. But he didn't resist. He wasn't trying to attack her. He was exposing her. "You hear that?" he bellowed to the other inmates. "They've been spying on us, using her." Emily's hands trembled as she tried to rebutton what was left of her shirt. She wanted to speak, to explain, but the roar of the prisoners drowned her out. The balance of control was cracking, and everyone knew it. The warden had to be called in. Emergency lockdown. Emily was pulled out of the block, escorted through corridors where men banged on doors and screamed betrayal. Her cover assignment was over, but the story, it was just beginning. That night, Emily sat in the interrogation room, her shirt replaced with a plain gray sweater. Her superiors glared at her like she was both a liability and a failure. "You were supposed to last another month," one of them hissed. "You let Cole get to you. You compromised the operation." Emily finally broke. "You put me in there alone, with murderers, with liars, with men who'd slit my throat if they knew what I was carrying. And you want to blame me for not lasting long enough." Silence. They dismissed her without ceremony. Just like that, her undercover assignment, meant to uncover a drug smuggling ring inside the prison, was finished. But for Emily, the shame was unbearable. Every officer whispered about her. Every inmate now had her face burned into memory. And yet, Darius hadn't hurt her. He could have. He could have humiliated her, assaulted her, even sparked a riot. But he didn't. He just exposed the truth. Why? The answer came 2 weeks later. Emily was reassigned to desk duty, pushing paperwork. But late one evening, she received a message, anonymous, slid under her apartment door. It was a torn piece of lined notebook paper, scrawled in rough handwriting. You were looking in the wrong direction. Check the kitchen deliveries. D.C. Her heart pounded. D.C. could only mean one person. Darius Cole, the man who exposed her, was now feeding her information? Emily had a choice. Report it and risk being laughed out of force, or investigate quietly. She chose the latter. Days turned into nights of watching, checking logs, pulling strings. And then she saw it. Crates marked for kitchen supplies arriving heavier than they should, with missing inventory sheets. Inside those crates, packets of white powder. Darius had been right. The drugs weren't coming through visiting rooms or corrupt guards. They were being funneled through food deliveries. Emily took it to her captain. They raided the next shipment. The evidence was undeniable. The ring was broken. The irony? The tip had come from the very prisoner who had torn her shirt open. But why would Darius help her? Emily arranged a meeting, one-on-one in the visitation room. Guards stood close by, but not too close to hear. Darius leaned back in his chair, that same scar catching the light. You want to know why? He asked, voice low. Yes, Emily said. You could have ruined me. Why didn't you? Darius smirked, but there was no malice, only weariness. Because I'm not stupid. Those drugs? They don't just wreck lives outside. They wreck lives in here. I seen men trade their souls for a packet. Seen guys OD in the showers. I may be locked up, but I ain't blind. Emily stared at him. You still rip my shirt off. Yeah, he said, almost grinning. And I saved your life doing it. If those guys had found out another way, without me cowed out, you wouldn't have walked out of that block alive. She didn't know what to say. For the first time, Emily realized Darius wasn't just a monster in a cell. He was a man making choices, sometimes terrible ones, sometimes unexpected ones. The bust made headlines. The department tried to take all the credit, of course. But Emily knew the truth. Without Darius, none of it would have happened. She visited him one last time, months later. His sentence was long, but his demeanor had changed. Less swagger, more calm. I don't expect no medal, he said. You won't get one, Emily replied. Then she leaned in. But you did something most men out there wouldn't. You told the truth, even when it cost you. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Darius chuckled. Guess even a broken man can do one good thing. And that's the truth of it. A prisoner ripped a female officer's shirt. Not to shame her, but to expose something deeper. What he uncovered froze the whole jail, not just because of the microphone, but because of what it revealed about loyalty, corruption, and the blurry line between villain and hero. Emily learned that courage doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes it sits behind bars. And Darius learned that even when the world labels you as lost, there's still room to choose integrity. The moral? People are not always who we think they are. Even the ones we fear most can hold the key to justice. So let me ask you, if you were in Emily's shoes, would you have trusted Darius after what he did? Or would you have turned your back completely? Think about it. And while you do, don't forget to subscribe for more stories that challenge what you believe about people, redemption, and the choices we make.